But Cannon Street was very vital,
That's
had
right.
lots of things going. And everything just seemed to have disappeared.
Yeah.
That block of Cannon Street from James Church up to Mill Street was a bustling place. Was a bustling place. I mean, real bustling. And you had just about anything you wanted within that block.
Now, I, in my little mind, as I was growing up, equate Cannon Street to, it was on a very small scale of Harlem, 125th Street. Very small scale, but there were so many businesses going. I mean, there was so much activity going on Cannon Street.
And as I said, the streets were full because by that time, other beer gardens, started. So there were about 3 on the Cannon Street. So people were up and down the street. I mean, the streets were always full. Cannon Street was always full on Fridays and Saturdays. And just like I said, you thought you were in Atlantic City or somewhere. During that time, they had everything. We couldn't go anywhere. I still remember if you wanted sub or something, you had to go in the back door. So that was another reason why restaurants and things on Cannon Street became, so important.
Yes. Those two areas, Cannon Street and up around Charlie's, were the meeting places for a lot of the blocks at that time. Because, we had the movie theaters, but at that time it was segregated, and then the schools were at that time. So those two streets meant a lot to a lot of people. It gave us some sort of pride for what businesses that was there at the time. It meant a gathering place for meeting your friends and social activities. So back then it meant a lot because you looked forward of getting off from work and socializing and shopping and whatever.
Ray Charles, B.B. King, they drew a lot of people. Pat Sumner drew a lot of people, and James Brown. During that time, it wasn't integrated or anything around here, but the college students would come down to the dance, and they would try to keep them out. They couldn't keep them out. So they paid their little $2, like I paid my little $2, and went on and enjoyed themselves.
But I just loved the dance hall because, they would have bands come and we would just dance from the beginning to the end. So, yeah, I really loved it there.
It was a place for them to congregate, to have a good time together. And after a day's work, they would go up there and sit around and talk. And during the day, those that worked up the line, if they were off, they would play cards, sit around and chat, and tell lies to each other and everything. So that was it was a nice time for them,
Now on Cannon Street, it really was the mecca of things for black people because Cannon Street had 2 beer gardens actually. Sam Hoxter had one, and a guy, Mr. Elijah Smith, had another one. Cannon Street was a happening place. I pretty much grew up on Cannon Street and in the beauty parlor. We saw a lot of life on Cannon Street. I remember being in the beauty parlor, a lot of the ladies coming in and getting their hair done, especially on Fridays and Saturdays. Fridays after work when places like Vita Food and Campbell's closed. The ladies would get off work and they would come down and get their hair done so they could go out for the evening.
We'd go see Mr. Sam, and Mr. Sam always welcomed children during the daytime. And you'd just stop and visit with people. People had time for children then.
And, people along the street, they knew who I was. They watched out for all of us kids that were on Cannon Street. Also, as kids, Mr. Hoxter used to let us kids hang out in the bar during the day, when he wasn't really open.
I would trade growing up there and that experience that I had in Chestertown for anything in the world. I tell people now, I didn't know that I was poor when I was growing up. I really didn't, because what a lot of people don't have, and that's a sense of love and community and support. I can't even imagine, not being able to, walk down several houses to Miss Anna's and, get the wonderful baked goods that she used to give us. And just feel free to do it. Not, all this, you can't worry about what neighbor you have to worry about, as you pass by. The sense of community was just incredible.
I went to Garnett since the very first grade in the 2-room schoolhouse. My aunt, Fanny Wilson, taught me. Education was very sincere at that time, and you had good qualified teachers. And they not only taught you well, but they were concerned almost as parents. So you had respect for them. And my aunt trailed me all the way through school. As far as I was almost in the senior class, if I did something wrong, they said, well, we'll go right downstairs and get Miss Fan. I said, no, don't do that. I'll do right.
Kids, no matter where you were, you would always find somebody in the crowd that knew you or knew your parents, and they tried to correct you, or they would tell you, I'm going to tell your grandmother on you, I'm going to tell your mom on you, And we didn't have the problems that they have today with that,
Being there in a time when integration took place, I was definitely very full of feelings. It was one of those things that, I think you'll never forget. I remember the Freedom Riders coming to Chestertown and being a part of that and meeting them and, just learning what was going on at the time, because as a child, you kind of accepted things that were. You knew there were certain places that you didn't go. And it wasn't questioned, it was kind of, if it's not broke, don't fix it. My gosh, it was like, wow, what an eye-opener. All of a sudden, the recognition of people being people and the freedom to go wherever you needed to go in the town and to be able to partake in different businesses that you'd never been able to partake of previously. It was great.
Because when I was growing up, where Garden School is, there was row houses from almost one corner to the other corner. Go across the corner, it was the same thing on both sides of the street all the way up. They ran the bulldozer through one end out the other end of them. It was approximately 150 families. Those 3 blocks were displaced. As far as I know, they didn't care where they put them.
The African Americans were not able to get loans. And so, remembering that part, then we may not have owned our own homes. And it was in the 60s that we were able to get loans in Quaker Neck, right past the country club. There was one man that was willing to step up. He bought the land. He found a way to get the homes financed. And then he was a builder, and he built the home. So he had some arrangement with the banks. And it was only until then, and that was in the mid-60s, I'm going to say, let's just say the early, like 62, that African Americans were even able to get a loan. All of a sudden, blacks can move into nice homes, and they're not, we don't have to stay in this substandard housing on Cannon Street anymore.
It's a big loss, because as a people, we don't, we have nowhere to go to do our thing, as they say, enjoy our own music. What has happened in Kent County is that the black folk had places that they were sold or they torn down or what have you. Actually, in town, there's no place for us to go to enjoy our own music.
I don't know. It's like a ghost town now. You just wouldn't believe that Cannon Street now, with anything, you couldn't even, there's no comparison to what it was then to what it is now.